Have you ever thought about how glass was made? How something that is so fragile that it smashes when it hits the floor becomes completely like a liquid and flows when it's heated up. So this art form is called glass blowing. Glass blowing is a very fascinating art form. It has been done throughout history, dating back to about 2,000 years ago. So it's very difficult to learn and to master, but when people do, they love it. They spend their whole lives doing it, and then they can create some really amazing pieces of art or pieces of functional equipment. All kinds of things can be made. Like I said, art, functioning equipment, um, glassware that you have in your kitchen, jewelry, the list goes on. So glassblowing was first started in countries such as Syria, Lebanon, Iran, Palestine, and Israel, and it was done by the people in the Roman Empire. So this was around the 1st century BC, so around 2,000 years ago. The Roman Empire saw that this new thing, glass, was a really good thing to be used for bowls and cookware and art as well. So as they first started, they would melt glass and then they would pour it into molds. You can see the picture on the left has pictures of the molds. And they, the things that they made specifically were human faces, picture like little forms of grapes and seashells. Those were their favorite things to do, their favorite art pieces. Anyway, as they got better at it, they realized that they could use tools to shape the molten glass themselves, and they were able to be a lot more creative and make a lot more diversity in the things that they were making. Today, there's two main kinds of glass blowing, hot glass and borosilicate glass. Hot glass, as you can see on the left, typically makes big things. The melting point is a lot lower than borosilicate glass, and they heat the glass in these big vats inside of furnaces, and they dip the tubes, these long metal tubes, into the molten glass, pull it out, and start spinning it, and they will blow a bubble in there and start shaping it. Every now and again, they have to put it back into the furnace, into a different furnace, which is just like a hole that they stick it into called a glory hole that will reheat the glass so it doesn't shatter. If it cools too quickly, it'll shatter. And the other kind of glass is borosilicate glass. This has a much higher melting point, and it's done with a torch. The torch has oxygen and propane coming into it, which allows the flame to have a very high temperature of 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, give or take. It's not exactly that. And you can adjust the flame as well. So typically this is done with pre-made rods and tubes, and people will have the flame in front of them and they'll be spinning the glass like this to keep it kind of centered, and they'll have their tube. Another tube comes up to their mouth that's made out of plastic, and they can blow into that, and that will form a bubble. And then with the rods, they'll add on colors and details and stuff like that. So glass itself is made out of something called silica, which is basically sand, and sand is melted down to form glass. A lot of different chemicals are added to this silica to get different colors, different rigidity, viscosity, and different melting points. And glass is a solid, however, it's an amorphous solid, which means that the chemical makeup, the molecular makeup, is extremely random, like a liquid. And when it's heated up, all those things can just move around super randomly, and it can just flow in any direction. So it's pretty similar to a liquid in a lot of ways. So glass can be made into a ton of different things. So some of the examples of the borosilicate glass would be this scientific experimental beaker. I'm not sure what you would call that, but a lot of scientific glassware that's used in labs comes from scientific glassblowers who specifically just make stuff like this. Borosilicate glass also makes stuff like these wine glasses, this pendant, and most likely this little lizard guy over here. There's a lot of like rigid details to this. Hot glass is used to make more flowy, bigger things. So a lot of vases, big cups, not like those wine glasses, but like big flowy looking things. And then it's also used to make a lot of under the sea, like specifically under the ocean art pieces. So people will make a lot of octopuses and mermaids, seaweed, things like that, lots of fish. And then it's also used to make a lot of jewelry and beads. However, some jewelry like this pendant, that's going to be your borosilicate glass. So one of my favorite artists that I wanted to show you is Dale Chihuly, and he is an American artist, and he creates these giant art installations that are put up in museums and like botanical gardens all across the world. I actually got to go see one last year, and it was absolutely amazing. It's way cooler in person than it even looks on the screen because they're huge, they're lit up at night, and they're absolutely beautiful. He is an old man now, and he is blind in one eye, so he actually has people making these things for him now, although he does continue to design the art pieces. Another interesting thing that I just wanted to mention is that one of the newest art forms in glassblowing is making things out of people's ashes. So the ashes, after people are cremated, are added to the glass, and then the glass is formed into, you know, necklaces or Christmas ornaments or something meaningful for that person. So all in all, glassblowing is a really fascinating art form, and people are getting more and more creative as people get better at it. I really recommend that you guys go on YouTube and watch some videos on glassblowing if you've never seen it, because it's super fascinating. I myself am very excited to see where the future of glassblowing goes and what people create. Thank you.